Well, we had another cool morning across the Tennessee Valley, seeing temperatures in the 50s. It was a variety of the 50s, but we didn't quite make it to the 60s in most areas. 52 was the low temperature waking up this morning in Pulaski, 56 in Fayetteville. We also saw 56 in Athens, Decatur as well. 54 down in Coleman. We saw the mid-50s in Moulton, mid-50s in Russellville. Florence saw right at 57 degrees this morning. Arab and Albertville 56, Scottsboro 53. So Scottsboro seemed to be the coolest waking up this morning. Now low temperatures this week. We are eventually going to make our way back into the 60s. We're still going to be running below average though. Our average low temperature for this time of the year is usually right around 68, 69 degrees in most locations. So we are going to be slightly below average, but you can't expect to see the low 60s for a good chunk of the next 7 days for the morning. 64 expected tomorrow morning. 64 also expected heading into Sunday morning. We will make it to right around 66 come next Monday. Mid-60s expected heading into Tuesday, so we're going to be staying below that average line, that black line that you see right here on our temperature map. So 64 Wednesday, but notice heading into about this time next week, it looks like we've got another cool down that's going to be heading our way. So we'll be waking up to the mid and upper 50s once again heading into next Friday morning. So looking outside right now, it is plenty of blue sky. We'll continue to see this throughout the rest of this Friday. Not a whole lot going on. It is very quiet across the Tennessee Valley. We do have some rain off to our south though. High pressure continues to build off to the east. That's going to kind of help to keep us on the sunnier and warmer side heading into this afternoon. But the way that the upper atmosphere looks, we've got a dip in the trough, the jet stream. We've got a trough. So that's why all of this kind of looks like it's really in a wave motion. So it's going to be staying off to our south. We're not expected to see rain for today. In fact, we're really not looking to see rain heading into the next couple of days. Temperatures are gradually warming on up though. We're sitting right at 80 in Pulaski, 80 right now in Fayetteville. It's 82 right now in Huntsville, 80 right now in Athens. We're sitting at 78 in Decatur, 79 right now in Moulton, 77 in Russellville, 79 right now in Florence. Looking down at Coleman, 79 degrees in Coleman here in Huntsville. We're right at 82. And then it looks like we've got a batch of the 70s on the eastern side of the Tennessee Valley, 78 for Scottsboro and Arab. Fort Payne looks to be the coolest spot once again, sitting right at 76 degrees. We're 1 degree shy of 80 right now in Albertville. Now, one thing that has happened as we have had just a tad bit more moisture building into the Tennessee Valley. When we were talking about dew points earlier this week after that frontal boundary moved through, we were only seeing dew points in the 40s. So that's indication that we had some very, very dry air filter in. So humidity wasn't an issue. That's still the case for this Friday, but we are starting to see those dew points creep up just a little bit. Usually when we see dew points in the mid 60s and higher, especially once we get into the 70 value range for dew points, that's when we really can feel that moisture across the Tennessee Valley. And I know it feels unusual for this month, but usually this is when we start to see those frontal boundaries move through every now and again. So heading home from school this afternoon, mid 80s by about 1 o'clock. We'll reach the upper 80s for 2 and 3. That will carry over into the 4 o'clock hour as well. We're expected to see nothing but sunshine. You might see a few clouds high in the sky this afternoon, but really they're just going to be passing clouds. It's not expected to take away that sunshine by any means. So Friday night football tonight is going to be a nice one. We'll be sitting in the 70s right around kickoff, 76 degrees. Wind still going to be coming out of the north, so you might feel a slight breeze out there. 74 by about halftime, and by the time we reach the end of the game, we're looking at 72 degrees, so it is going to be nice and comfortable, especially with those lower dew point values. We're not expected to have that really muggy feeling that we typically see for the very beginning of Friday night football. So for tonight, expect to see the low 60s will continue to remain under a partly cloudy sky. Heading into the first half of this upcoming weekend, 89 degrees expected for this Saturday, and we'll continue to see mostly sunshine in the forecast. So you're really not going to see a whole lot happen behind me on this futurecast. I've got it going from about noon today until midnight, so late tonight. Really, all you're going to be seeing are those high clouds moving through every now and again, because we're not expected to see rainfall. All the rain that I showed you earlier is going to be staying off to our south. So really, it's looking like areas south of Montgomery is what's going to be seeing the rain throughout the next couple of hours and even into tomorrow as well. So that's why our rain chances are limited today. They're very limited heading into tomorrow. In fact, it's a 0% chance for rain, only a 10 for Sunday, meaning that isolated showers are going to be very, very unlikely, but we do have that small chance for it. Now heading into Monday and Tuesday of next week, that looks like that's going to be our next best opportunity at seeing a measurable rainfall. It's about a 50% chance heading into Monday, 40 for your Tuesday, and then after Tuesday, well really after Monday, but especially after Tuesday, those rain chances really start to leave the area. Only about a 30% heading into Wednesday, 20 for next Thursday, and then looking ahead into this time next week, it looks like we're expected to remain dry there as well, only dealing with about a 0% chance for rain. But once you put it into perspective, if we're looking at total accumulation for the month of August so far, I know we are really close to the beginning of September on Monday, so we'll be swapping this over to September values once we reach Monday. But so far, if you kind of put it into perspective of how much we've gotten and our average, we're in type of a deficit. Now for the entire year, we haven't made it quite there just yet, but for the month, if we put it into perspective for our averages, like I said, it is a little bit of a deficit. Notice Fort Payne, their average, so far they've only seen just a little under 2 inches of rainfall, and their average is just a little under 4. So right around 3.8 inches is usually the average. Here in Huntsville, we are over an inch in a deficit between how much we've gotten so far and our average. And Muscle Shoals is not doing too bad. In fact, the shoals really areas on the western side of the Tennessee Valley, so Lauderdale, Colbert, Franklin counties have seen a majority of the rainfall that we have seen this month. So the drought monitor did update yesterday. So this is the latest drought monitor that we've got going on. And if you've been keeping up with this, you probably have noticed that the yellow areas, which is the extremely dry areas, it has expanded more eastward. When we showed this to you earlier this week, it really was only for areas west of I-65, but that has since changed. We now have extremely dry conditions in western Madison County, a good majority of Morgan County now included in this as well. Limestone County included, Lauderdale, Colbert, Franklin counties, and then of course Lawrence County, portions of Lawrence County included within this, as well as Giles and Lincoln counties in southern Middle Tennessee. Now notice Giles, it does have a little bit of moderate drought going on in northern Giles County, so north of Pulaski, really starting to see those dry areas, and we are unfortunately expecting our drought monitor to continue to see a variation of colors heading into September and especially October, because that's usually when we really get into a deficit here across the Tennessee Valley. So 88 expected for this afternoon, heading into this weekend, getting really close to the 90-degree days, not expected to make it quite there though. And then it looks like we'll have another cool down of temperatures by Sunday. We'll be right around 86. And then looking ahead into the first half of next week,